Hello guys, welcome back. Please accept my apologies. I do know that I haven't been very consistent recently with the uploads. There has been a few things going on. I'm probably going to share that with you at some point because, like I said in the last video, I'm always looking for those opportunities where I can use my life and my experiences to share teachable moments. And I think the last video was an example of that. Yeah, let me bring you right up to date now with today's video. So we're in 2003. And I've just got back into secondary school. I'm at Eaglesfield Boys. It's the middle of the year 9. The scariest thing on my first day of school was how many people there was. And I think that's the first time I realized that I had a kind of anxiety when it came to big crowds and big groups. I was coming from a pupil referral unit where there was a class of a maximum of 3 or 4 people at any given time. And the whole school itself might have had maybe 30 or 40 or 50 pupils maximum. But now I'm in a school with like hundreds. It wasn't a complete, year 7 to year 11 because the school was closing down. So there was only year 9, 10 and 11 when I started there. But still, it was still more people than I had ever been in, like more people than I'd ever seen in like a school environment since I was in year 7. There was like 30 kids in the class and that was, a big deal for me. Like, wow, all these people. And it's like, I remember feeling like I could never really focus because my mind was always racing. There was always things going on. And I remember having certain classes that I really struggled in. French, obviously, I've never done a French class. So to be thrown in the middle of year 9 and be expected to kind of pick it up straight away wasn't going to happen. Science was another subject that I really tried to kind of get to grips with. But, I actually did try with science, but it was hard for me. But because because I just wasn't familiar with any of the concepts and things like that. But maths was my biggest challenge, especially because my maths teacher didn't believe that I struggled with maths as much as I said I did. Because when you looked at my kind of, overall performance across like most of my subjects, it's clear that I was kind of able, I wasn't a dumb kid. But then they would put me into a maths class and I'm literally at square zero, I remember the guy was explaining D equals 7. And I'm thinking, hold on, how can a letter equal a number? And this is the level of maths knowledge that I had in year 9. I'm thinking that D must be like the 4th letter of the alphabet, or D must equal to 4 because it's the 4th letter of the alphabet. And this is how my brain would try and work out algebra, And when it got to the point that I was just frustrated that, I couldn't get any of this stuff, I just wouldn't care, or I just wouldn't, I wouldn't really engage in class, and I would just, talk or disrupt, and just try and, get through the class as quickly as possible so that, I wasn't exposed for being the dunce that I was in that subject. But it wasn't like that for all of them. English, straight away, I always had a natural ability when it came to English, and then all of the other humanities subjects that came around that, I just seemed to really be able to kind of hit the ground running with them quite quickly. So my school reports were always mixed because, in some subjects I was doing well in, and in other subjects I was doing very poorly, and I just didn't apply myself. I didn't even really bother trying. And in year 9, well, the half of year 9 that I was actually there, I was still struggling to find, a real friendship group, to find people that I actually had things in common with. And, again, because I hadn't been there, I was just thrown in right in the middle of year 9. It was difficult to know, the types of people I should be moving with or not, and all of that kind of stuff. So when I would get home from school, I would get online and I would find friends. I'd been online for 2.5 years because I wasn't in school for the majority of the week. So I would use things like MySpace, Facebook, MSN Messenger, and I would have friends all over the world because I was always online at, crazy times because I didn't usually have school the next day, so I wouldn't need to go sleep early. I could be online throughout the daytime as well because if it wasn't a Tuesday or a Thursday, I wasn't going to be in my center or at the pupil referral unit. So I had a really wide social network. And it was on one of these MSN chat room things that I came across a girl, and me and her started talking. And at first, she was a bit of a bad kid, a bit of a rebel. She used to bunk off school a lot. And I'd always talk to her during the daytimes because I wasn't at school and she would be bunking off on certain days. So she'd come online, she'd be like, oh, why aren't you at school? And, oh, because I don't go, all that kind of stuff. And me and this girl, in a weird way, we kind of we bonded over over a bit of a weird experience that we both went through at the age of 12. You know, obviously I'd gone through the whole court process, you know, when I was 12 and all of that. But she'd gone through something else at the same age, that she was actually pregnant at 12 years old. And she had an abortion in the end, but I remember her telling me that if she'd actually given birth, she would have been one of the youngest people in the country to have ever had a child. And obviously that was crazy for me, like, whoa, like you went through all of that. And then she'll like, you know, hear about my story. I'm like, oh my God, you went through all of that. And so we kind of bonded over our experiences, you know, in our early childhood. But that, I'm actually going to talk about her and that situation in another video, because I really want to take time to really unpack that, because because there's a few things about that story that it troubles me now as an adult. But yeah, we'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, MSN chat rooms, these are the places that I would go to find my friends and to socialize. But then year 10 came, and by this point I felt more settled in school, and I actually got to pick classes and pick like my options for what I was going to study for GCSEs. So I picked PE, history and drama. And I was really happy at the fact that I could actually start a subject at the same time as everyone else, because I'd always had this kind of competitive nature within me. You know, I would always want to be the best at anything that I tried. And as well, I've got a twin sister. So I was always conscious of the fact that, you know, she was consistently like progressing in school and with her education, and I was basically left behind. So I always had this competitive nature within me that I wanted to be the best, but I kind of like would feel disheartened when I would face a situation or I'd be in a class that I just felt like I couldn't catch up in. So when I was in year 10 and I got the option to pick new classes, like, yeah, it felt like this is like the chance that I needed to start at a level playing field with everyone else. So basically I was in a chat room, right? One of these MSN chat rooms, right? And I found myself in a group with 4 people. And in this group were, out of the 4, 2 of the people went to my old secondary school that I was kicked out from, and the other 2 people had gone to my first primary school that I'd been kicked out of, right? So all 4 of these people had been in a school that I had been kicked out from. When you've got a reputation as being a bad boy, that, I don't know, like typically that should bring less problems, because most people don't want issues with bad boys, right? That was kind of my thinking. But again, I was always aware that in my new school, that wasn't my reputation at all. But in my old schools, yeah, that's what they kind of knew me for. But I always felt like that wasn't me. Now I'm in this group chat, and one guy now is like, he's making some kind of stupid jokes about how I go to a special school. And I get what he was going on about. Like, my school wasn't special. It was a mainstream school, but it was closing down. So there was like only 2 years in the school at that time. So yeah, and obviously I'd been to the pupil referral unit before that. But yeah, funny. Like, it wasn't a special school, but I get the kind of joke he was making, right? But there was something about him and the fact that he went to that old school that always triggered me, because I'm telling you, even when I would go past on the bus, past his school, my heart would start beating, you know, like memories of that whole experience used to leave me feeling like you know, anxiety or whatever. So anything to do with that school, yeah, even like, not now, I've kind of gone over it, but up until like a few years ago, you could mention TCC, Thamesmead Community College, and I could feel my heart like do. Now I'm in this group chat and I've got someone from TCC now making fun of me and my situation, saying that I'm in a dumb school, I'm in a special school or something like that. And I remember consciously telling him in the group, in this conversation, that if you say it one more time, right, the next time I see you, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I was so angry at that moment. If he was actually like there, we probably would have had a fight. But I remember telling him, like, giving him that final warning, because I was angry like I hadn't experienced in a long time, you know what I mean? And I said, okay, if you do this one more time, I'm gonna fuck you up, right? And he said it. And I remember being so calm-headed, or so like feeling so cool and calm about what I was going to do, because I said, okay, next time I see you, I'm going to fuck you up. And I left. Fast forward a couple of months, and Ahmed, shout out Ahmed, man, my boy from school, he comes to visit me. And at this time, like I said, because I had a very strict family, I wasn't allowed out often. But because now, you know, I'm back in school, I'm in year 10 now, I haven't had any trouble for like years and stuff. Like, you know, I was starting to get a little bit more freedom. Ahmed has come to knock for me, and I've said to my mum, like, oh, my friend Ahmed is from school, and obviously, you know, he's African, he knows how to come and see my mum and make her feel comfortable, like, hello auntie, all of that. So my mum was like, oh, so I told my mum, oh, is it okay for us to, you know, go and ride our bikes? And I was like, yeah, go on, you know, go and play. So I've taken my bike, he's taken my sister's bike, and we just, you know, rode around the area, you know what I mean? Like, literally, like, I swear to God, doing proper innocent stuff, like proper kid things, you know what I mean? Like, just riding our bikes and literally just having fun. I remember now driving past or riding past the school, like my old school, and I'd come up to the bus stop where all of the crazy shit had happened. And like I said, anytime I walk past this bus stop or I go through this school, I'm always getting like that kind of anxious feeling in my heart. And I never told anyone that I would experience this year, but I would always feel it every time I'd come past that school or the bus stop. On this occasion now, I've come past the bus stop and I've come through to the street cage, which is like a place where people go to play football and basketball. And literally my heart was still beating because of where I was. I've cut the corner and who do I see? I see my man from the group chat and all three of the other people that were in the conversation. And I remember thinking that I told him that I was going to fuck him up when I see him. And I wanted it to happen in front of everyone else that was in that group so that they could see that he wasn't bad. And then on top of that, because I had my friend from my new school, Ahmed, he was with me, I kind of knew that anything that I was about to do now was going to get reported back to my new school and my old school at the same time, you know what I mean? So this was like a double win for me. So I said, I've jumped off the bike, walked up to him, like no questions, bang, bang. And he dropped to the floor so quickly, I was surprised because I was expecting a fight. I actually wanted a fight, you know, I really wanted to, you know, proper scrap with him, you know what I mean? And I remember that he dropped so quickly that I was like, what, is that it? Like, I remember telling him, stand up, like, I wasn't finished in, like, I actually wanted to really, really wrestle with this guy, you know what I mean? So I told him to stand up, and he stood up, we've gone at it again, he's dropped to the floor, and I'm like, job done, you know, jumped on my bike, went back home. No, I think, yeah, went back home, and then I've walked Ahmed to the train station, and literally, like, I didn't actually think twice about what had happened. You know, like, I just accomplished what I said I was going to accomplish, you know what I mean? What I set out to do, I said I was going to do it, and I did it. I was actually, in a very weird way, quite proud of myself that I was kind of, you know, I lived up to my word of what I said I was going to do, you know? About an hour later, I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? Who's at my door, man? Hey, boy, I got to the peephole. I've looked through, and obviously, like, I saw my man, like, obviously the boy that I had a fight with, but I'm looking and I'm just seeing, like, people, like, what the fuck is this, like? So now, I don't want my mum to come and find out what's going on, so I've kind of, like, opened the door quietly, yeah, trying to come out onto the landing, and I live on a landing on our estate, so there's houses on every side. As I've come out, there are people from the house next door to me on one side to the other house next door to me. Just people on this landing, innit? Uncles, brothers, cousins, I don't know, innit? I'm just standing, I'm seeing all these faces, angry faces all looking at me. The guy's there with his mum, and he goes, yeah, mum, that's the one, that's the guy that did it. His mum has come, she grabbed my hood now. I remember she's grabbed the hood of my jumper, yeah, and she's trying to pull me out of my door, innit? And the crazy thing is that I'm trying to come out. I'm trying to come out of the door quietly so that my mum doesn't hear what's going on, innit? So anyway, now she's all like grabbing me, screaming, blah, blah, and then my mum's come to the door and she sees this boy covered in blood and she literally just jumped into mum mode, innit? Like, hey, what happened to you? Hey, Taye, bring tissue, what's going on? And then, like, the woman was like, your son did this to my boy. Then my mum's all looking at me like, Kenny, why did you do this to me for? Why did you do this? I'm standing there now, yeah, like, embarrassed at the fact that these people have come to my house, yeah. And I'm trying to be, obviously because the guy's there, and I'm trying to be cool, innit, like, sticking out my chest like I'm a bad man, in like, yeah, I don't really give a fuck. But at the same time, I'm like, come on, man, like, my mum's house, man, like, allow it, like. So I'm waiting for, like, something to happen, and I'm expecting that all of these people have come here to fight me, or, you know what I mean, to do something, right? The screaming and the commotion is all going off, and then a woman goes, I'm calling the police. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, we just had a fight, you know, like, why are you gonna call the police? Well, I didn't say this, but in my head, I'm like, why are you calling the police for? Like, kids have fights all the time. Like, anyway, now police have got called, they've come up and it was very, very quick. Like, they've seen him and, like, obviously, like, basically, I don't know how this happened, but somehow his tooth had gone through his cheek. So I must have left a hole in his mouth, like in his cheek here, there was a big hole. You know, like, I didn't mean to do that kind of damage anyway, but so he's got like a hole in his mouth and he's got all of this blood. He's holding the blood coming out into his hand or whatever. The police are there. The police asked what happened and I was like, yeah, he was getting rude to me online and I told him I was going to fuck him up when I saw him. And that's what I did. Like, I didn't use no weapons or nothing like that. I didn't rob him. You know, we just had a fight. So I go, okay, yeah, well, we're going to have to place you under arrest. And they put me in handcuffs and the deja vu feeling like, oh yeah, like I've been here before, you know. So unlike the first time when I got arrested, like obviously I was 12 then, this time I was 14, so like a couple years older. And obviously puberty had kicked in. I'm feeling like a bit more like, I don't know, man. I wasn't feeling like a bad boy in it, but I kind of was in that moment, you know, like, because obviously I've got the guy there and, you know, the police are there. They put me in handcuffs now. I'm going to walk along the landing again in handcuffs for the second time, you know. But what made this experience so different, right, is that, like, as the handcuffs is on, I've kind of looked at my mum and then, like, my mum just looked at me like that and then her head went to the side and she cried and, like, the tear come out and I was just like, oh, God, like, you know, even now when I think about it, yeah, oh, my God, I feel, like, anyway. I've got the handcuffs now and you know, and actually that's when I clocked that I'm taller than I was taller than my mum at this point, you know, like, because I put the handcuffs over her and I'm still, like, kind of looking at her, you know what I mean? So I've kind of given her the hug and that actually, anytime I think about her face then, it breaks my heart, man, because, yeah, it's like, man, I've put her through so much, man, but anyway, I'm led into the police car. I've turned up at Bexley Heath police station and, yeah, conviction number 2.